FDR once said that the history of every nation is eventually written in the way that it cares for its soil. One of the things that's really important to note when we talk about the soil and arable land is that really what we're talking about is topsoil. This is a picture of one of the dead cities in Syria, and it's taken from a National Geographic article titled The Erosion of Civilizations. And essentially what happened that killed these cities is that throughout the formation of the city, the farmers were cutting down the large trees and planting olive groves. And the problem with that is that when the rains would come, it was washing away the topsoil, and the water wasn't being absorbed into the soil and then eventually to the water table. So not only was it washing away the soil that allowed plants to grow, but it also was drying up the rivers and eventually killed the cities, because without access to water, access to arable land, people can't grow food, and then they can't survive. When we look at topsoil, topsoil contains the nutrients needed for plant growth. It contains all the organic matter that holds water in the soil, and it also contains about a majority of the nutrients that is needed for plant growth. When you look at the layers of soil beneath the topsoil, there's about an 85% drop in nutrient availability, and that's generally due to the increased clay content of soils further beneath the Earth's surface. When we look at topsoil in the U.S., we have a large topsoil loss. About millions of tons of topsoil are eroded annually from farmers in fields, and it just rolls down the Mississippi River and into the Caribbean. Each year, approximately 1 truckload of soil per American for every family in the country is shed and lost through our current farming techniques. I'm going to touch upon why that is a little bit later, but it's important to note that this topsoil is essentially the black gold of a country, and when the topsoil is being eroded, the country is losing the ability of that land to plant and grow things. This is an example of a woman from Niger. She will grow millet from this land for her family, and that's essentially the only source of sustenance. And you can see, similar to the videos that I just showed you, how there's a lack of tree and how there's a very, very high clay content in the soil and essentially no topsoil. And one of the things the government of Niger did to solve this problem, which is very similar to what was done in in Kenya, is that they employed this woman as well as 10,000 of her counterparts to, instead of planting crops, to plant trees. And they were paid to plant these trees, which eventually helped curb not only the soil erosion, but also contributed to the land becoming arable again. And so there is a process of reclaiming land that has gone through the desertification process. So all hope is not lost once the land is environmentally degraded, but it's not an overnight success. So it's important to note that when you talk about environmental degradation, you are talking about man causing problems that contribute to the environment changing, but it's important to note the importance of maintaining topsoil and preventing erosion.